All right, hi English 20-1 students. It's Miss Picard coming to you, and this is a video recording for the week of June the 1st through really June the 6th, but it's also June the 15th. Here's the reason. I want to give you one chance more to do a bonus assignment this year that would allow you to reflect a little bit on your reading. And so the last date where I can accept missed assignments or work like this is going to be June the 15th. So I wanted to introduce this to you the week of June the 1st so that as you're finishing up your revisions, some of you might want to think about whether or not you devote some time in June either to coming to our meets for this bonus assignment delivery in a live setting, or whether you want to submit a written version of this bonus assignment for the June the 15th to June the deadline. So I want to walk you through a little bit of the rationale behind this, and then also what I'm looking for in terms of your skills so that you can get that great credit and raise your grades at the end of the year here, ending strong and hopefully also in a way that's celebrating a little bit where you've come from and how you've grown. So this assignment I adapted actually from Ms. Gross and critical reflection. So she's getting her students to think about the ways that language has improved in writing. What I would like to do for our last bit of class is to give you the chance as an optional bonus to reflect on your reading. Now, you probably have heard through the grapevine by now or from classmates that Lillian Osborne's assessment policy for this online learning environment means we can't replace assessments from before March the 13th. And so originally we'd been hoping to do multiple choice replacements and stuff in June. That can't happen now because those up to March 13th grades, those are staying contained in sort of their own little unit. And we're adding and we're getting you to grow from there on online learning. And this is another bonus in that second part of the year that I'm hoping will give you the chance to show your skill a different way and bump up your grades. Now, this would count in the reading comprehension bin. And so for us in 20-1, there are really only 2 multiple choice tests in there. So this is a really good opportunity if multiple choice tests are not your thing. This is a great chance for you to kind of put another thing in that bin that's weighted fairly heavily at like a 3 that balances out some of those other timed reading comprehension quizzes. It's also, so it has a real chance to affect your grade because I am going to weight it at like a moderate task at like a 3. The other thing too is it lets you, I hope, celebrate some of the best of the year because I think that's really important at the year's end. I'll be sending you out a survey so you can give me feedback about how the teaching was this year and what you loved and what you hated. But this is a chance for you to actually do the personal stuff, not about the delivery, but about you as a learner and a communicator. So the bonus is called Reflection on Reading, and I'm just going to read with you a little bit so you understand what the outline is saying here. It's saying that your job would be to explain what 2 texts that you've encountered this year. So text could be an image, it could be one of the pictures from our visual dictionary from Black Panther Land. So it could be the film Black Panther, or it could be maybe Macbeth, and that play was really powerful for you. It could be any of the text, films, plays, novels, essays, short stories that we did this year. I want you to think about which ones, plural, which 2, had the greatest impact on your abilities. So what you did really well, what you grew in, and also on your perspective, your mindset about communication and how you see the world and connect to the world, to yourself, and to others. Okay, so how did you grow in your skills, and how did you grow in your mindset? Is basically what this is asking. But the mindset stuff is focused on communication because English is a communication course. So here's a couple little other requirements. One of the 2 texts that you choose, so one of these needs to be a text that we studied together, so something that we looked at as a whole group. That might be something like Vimy, and you could talk about how the play impacted you and what that did for your perspective. It could be one of the short stories from earlier in the year. So that story Lenses, about the eyes and the surgeon who has to take her friend's eyes, organic eyes out and put in the artificial eyes. It could be something like that. One of them has to be something that we've done together and talked together about as a group. The other can be a group text, but it could also be one of your free reading books from that time that you used to have in class about free reading independent novels. So it could be from a novel that you just happened to pick up off the bookshelf. It could also be from reading that you're doing right now at home, or from viewing that you're doing right now at home. So if you saw a great documentary, maybe The Last Dance, that's been very popular, and that has really opened your eyes to something in culture, or to a way that filmmakers can use films to start conversations, that would be wonderful, and you can talk about that. So one has to be from class stuff. The other could be from our reading time in class, or it could be from what you've encountered on your own. But the idea is that you explain how that work has influenced your thinking and your skills. Now, the only other caveat it says here is at least one needs to be a written work. So if you're choosing a film from class like Black Panther, then I don't want you to do The Last Dance on Netflix. I want you to choose one of those two as a film or as a digital source. One of them I want you to have as prose, because that is a challenging and important part of your universe in English land, okay? So one has to have writing of sentences, one has to have prose, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it's up to you, but they can't all be film, okay? Or all art. Okay, finally, if you're wondering about what I mean by showing perspective change as a communicator, or what it means to have a skill difference, I've given you a big list here. You don't have to talk about all the bullets on this list. These are examples of how a text might have impacted you. So you might only talk about one of these, you might talk about none of them, and maybe the impact's something different entirely. But these are examples that are grounded in communication that can help you to get that kind of top level of the rubric, and help you to really think about and reflect on, how has the reading of things changed my understanding of what the power of words are, and how texts that are in culture affect what I see and how I behave. So here are examples. So a text that's influential might have helped you to understand elements of the writing process and how authors write. So maybe you loved Macbeth. Well, maybe that really helped you to understand how Shakespeare responded to the culture of his time, or how maybe you hated Macbeth because it was really a struggle from that first piece of critical writing we did. Well, maybe the study of that text changed your understanding of what feedback was important, or how revision needed to take place. So that's one example up there of understanding how the writing process works. Maybe it affected your understanding of that. One might be how it helped you to explore the context of ideas, where, when, and in what culture or community something's made. And so there, I would like you to think about, how did you develop new insights about an issue that's important to our culture right now? Maybe that was in studying some research nonfiction texts for your visual essay project. Maybe you saw that small h misunderstood history, and that really affected you in a good way and helped you to build skills. Or maybe it's something different entirely, like maybe it's talk about Black Panther and sort of the African diaspora, that idea of culture and how perceptions of skin color or perceptions of belonging to a Black community affects people in different places on the globe. That might have opened up and awakened some ideas in you about issues in our time right now. Also, it could be something about the effective examples of narration. And I've heard a lot of you actually just privately talk to me about this with The Last Dance, that sort of Michael Jordan thing on Netflix. But maybe it's something different. Maybe reading, what would be another example? We didn't do Fish Cheeks. That was a grade 10 text. One of the short stories early in the year, so the names they gave me, I gave to some of you in class. Maybe that really affected how you see first-person narration and telling your own story. Maybe organization came out of that. Maybe you read a book this year, like The Book Thief, where there's death is the narrator, and it's organized very, it's not totally perfectly chronological. If you read a book like that, where it's like weird to encounter that storytelling style, it might have changed how you see organization, how you see authors shaping the beginnings and endings of their stories. So that's one example too. Maybe a book or an image refined your appreciation of an author's unique style or voice. And that could be even a text that a classmate created. Like maybe somebody in the class made a beautiful sketch at one point in their notes to help them understand one of the stories we were looking at together. If something impacted you in terms of unique style and voice and the features, it doesn't have to be a written feature. It could be a visual one. So think about that. Maybe film styles and director styles, when we talked about film techniques, maybe that affected you and you're like, oh, I'm so aware of film styles now. I can really see, what a particular, whether it's Ryan Coogler, whether it's Steven Spielberg, or whether it's Taika Waititi in The Mandalorian. I can really tell directors' styles, right? That's a great thing to learn too. Finally, the last two, maybe it's something we read incited emotions in you and it changed your goals or behavior. Whether that's something that inspired you, or maybe it made you angry and so you wanted to publish and self-publish an opinion piece. Maybe you got really bored by a book when you were free reading and you realized that you have to have a different set of features that you look for when you pull a book off the shelf. Maybe an image inspired you to create your own nonfiction, whether that's dance or whether that's poetry. Those are all possibilities. So you can talk about the emotional impact, but remember not just to say, oh, this made me angry, this made me happy. You have to talk about what it did for you as a communicator or a learner, so that that emotion, what you did with it, becomes important, right? We all feel emotions all the time. You might feel frustrated, or you might feel lonely, or you might feel angry. But what I want you to be reflecting on is what you did or what you continue to do with that first reaction to a text, or with that emotional connection to a text. It's what you did with that emotion that matters for your communication skills. Okay, the very last thing, this is about that outcome that's about collaboration and cooperation. Did a text help you to find supportive collaborative relationships? In other words, like peer editing, and or just like the person, the go-to elbow partner in class who can help you out or give you advice. Was there a text that we encountered that had you doing group work where you felt like you made a connection with others that was new for you or that was important for you? That's a collaborative skill as a communicator, and that's something that I want to honor and give you the chance to celebrate too, because I know many of you made really good friendships, and I saw you work together really well. Okay, those are the examples and requirements. Now, just please be aware, this last part has just reminders about rules for doing this bonus assignment. They have to be in by June 15th, and actually it's 11:59, it says. All summative work has to be in by June 15th for sure. But this bonus assignment, although I'd like you to have started it and signaled that you're doing it by June 15th, you can actually complete the written ones by Friday, June the 19th. And so you have a few extra days there at the end of the course to finish this assignment if you choose. So again, June 15th, June 19th, all missing work, things that you haven't finished, like research or a critical essay, that stuff, revisions, that stuff has to be in by June 15th. That's kind of non-negotiable at the end of the day. If all of that stuff is in on June 15th, then you can do this bonus assignment, and there'll be meet times for those 2 weeks in June. The week that ends on the 15th and the week after, there'll be 2 meet times when you can do it live, or there'll be the option for you to do it written, okay? And the written stuff has the little bit later deadline, and Friday, June the 19th is it, okay? If the grade for some reason gets lowered by you doing this bonus, I'm not gonna lower your grade, right? This is purely an option for you to show that you've improved. So 3:00 p.m., Friday, June 19th, but it requires that you've caught up on time on all of your other summative work by June the 15th. Okay, that just helps me manage marking. It helps you to stay organized, and it helps you to really maximize the last couple of meets together. I hope that we get lots of people turning out and having a discussion of what text has done for us, because I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm going to be able to grade some of the some people in live meets if you choose to do it that way. Here's the rubric. Whether you do it live or written, the requirements are the same. I'm not marking on how pretty your writing is or how pretty you look on camera in live meets. I am purely listening and reading for the content of how you've reflected. Okay, so an excellent reflection will have perceptive appraisal of the impact of reading and on language learning and communication. So perceptive means there's layers to it, you know and understand and can evaluate what it's done. It will have precise examples to show that you've capably recognized and explored some strategies as a result of that text encounter. So like you'll have an example of what was in the text that caused something in you in the way that you approach language and communication. It'll be a specific example of maybe a line from the text, maybe you anecdotally talk about the shift with details, but it needs to have that precision to get 5 out of 5. If it's just specific and there's some details and you paraphrase and talk about little, like kind of what the text is about, that's more specific, right? If you don't really mention a lot of clear examples, maybe you have 1 or 2. And if you only sometimes talk about what they did, that's more satisfactory. So it gives you the kind of range. But I would hope that people doing this assignment, that you'd be aiming for that excellence and proficiency in terms of your reflection. Okay, it's only a mark out of 5, but it will be weighted at what we call a 3, so it'll have a little more weighting than one of the multiple choice quizzes that we did earlier in the year. So it'll be worth more than one of those. So it should give you a good opportunity to impact your standing at the end of the course. I hope that made sense to you. And again, the 2 timeline due dates, June the 15th for any missing work, and for the completion of summative assessments to that date, which is going to include your revisions and your revised Black Panther essay. That's the last cutoff. I'm encouraging you to finish them by June the 1st, but some people are already asking me for extensions beyond that. So for sure by the 15th, I can't accept anything past that date for your regular work that's been missed or that's being paced. June the 19th would be the last written deadline for the reflection on reading. And again, it's an opt-in, optional bonus. We're going to use those last 2 weeks in June to have meeting times where we talk about reading. And some of it doesn't have to be assessed at all. You can just show up and talk about the reading that you've done and the celebration of that. But if you want to be assessed, then there is that option to have that live chat assessed for this optional bonus assignment. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. And I'm now going to just sign off here and say, as always, make sure that you're please come to the meet if you have any questions. Please email me and I can set up one-on-one tutorials with you, or you can always access that Wednesday afternoon between 3 and 4 to do some drop-in Q&A with me. And then finally, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing and continue to do and will do on this assignment. I've had a wonderful year with everyone. I'll record a goodbye officially, but I just wanted to say right away, right here, I super appreciate all the time, energy, and more importantly, I think support that you've offered each other, and the risk-taking and resilience you've shown by adapting so well to online learning. So keep up the great work. We're getting close to the end here at June. Here's a great final chance for you to show the best of you, what you can do under our circumstances right now, and what you have done all year when our circumstances were maybe a little more predictable. Okay, I look forward to reading these, look forward to hearing from you. Take care, and I'll sign off. I hope to see you in meets in the coming weeks. Bye, everybody.